Dearest beloved divine friends, family, brothers and sisters, welcome to In the Raw, RKU's Guyana Free Media. And I'm your host, your brother, your friend, me, Haji, Dr. Ocean Khan, in quarantine, for good, to honor and worship and love my beloved mother, Latifun Khan, most of whom you know already, singing, feeding, dancing, giving her joy. In Canada, in the cold, can't step out for 14 days, and just after that, back to my beloved Guyana. Lots of things have been happening since then. In Guyana, for the few days I've been away, we've been had to horrific exposure of internal manipulation and thefts, technically, of taxpayers' money taken through government corporations for ministers and the big boys. Can we imagine, ladies and gentlemen, friends and families, what would have happened to that country had the APNU AFC remained in power for another 5 years, or 10 years, or 20, or 25 years, or 50 years? The resources of the nation would have become theirs, and particularly the waste they call the Alliance for Change, the incompetent, the useless, the total waste of a political party, and natural disgrace and degradation. For all these manipulations and thefts we are finding, which is not, as we have a saying, that this is touching the tip of, this is just the tip of the iceberg. The tip of the iceberg had to start from somewhere, and it's like a basement formation. So this is not even the basement. This is not even going into underground. To drop one drop of cement for the foundation of corruption that we saw within the AFC in particular, and to some extent to the big boys, the warlord in particular, who in collusion with another of the AFC sold out our patrimony of oil in Guyana, and has placed us in a situation where Guyana could lose not only tens of billions but hundreds of billions in time, and possibly destroy our environment. And we could possibly, if we're not well managed, thank God for the new government. I say congratulations to Dr. Irfan Ali, His Excellency the President, Vice President Dr. Marjak Deo, Prime Minister Mark Phillips, the magnificent cabinet, that you guys are working very hard to try to save this oil industry and to bring dignity and positivity into Guyana for what is our beautiful country with so much of resources. And to save what was actually given out, not even sold, for cheap. You know, don't sell my words for cheap, says the Quran. Same thing. Here they sold everything out for cheap. Not even for cheap, for free. Friends and families. So I don't see that party or that grouping being in power again for another 50 to 100 years. I'm not personal against anybody. Many people in the PNC in particular are my friends. But where is former President David Granger? Where is Harmon, opposition leader? Where is the mouthpiece and the master of vulgarity, Senor, hero of the comic strip, Mr. Duncan? Where's Christopher Jones to condemn those acts of lawlessness? Well, we know what happened with the Chronicle and Mr. Duncan. So, friends and families, brothers and sisters, Guyana has people who are corrupt from within their hearts and their soul, and they will sell Guyana for nothing, and will fatten their hands with fancy gold bangles, and maybe their ears and their teeth, and maybe even unmentionable parts. It will appear to me, friends and families, that the government has been listening. Since before the APNU AFC came out of power, I was advising them, but before closing down the sugar estate, you already have the canals, a plethora of canals smartly built by the British. Maximize that, max it. Aquaculture. Up to recently, it appeared that my brother and friend, man of respect, Zulfikar Mustafa, has heard me. And now they are in discussion with the government of India to the possibility of maxing or maximizing the aquaculture facilities, but also a meat plant, also a meat farm, fish processing industries, coconut, turn sections of the estates and abandoned ones into manufacturing large-scale coconut oil for cosmetics and skin cream, and body oil and medication like olive oil, partner with India or a powerful marketing company along with the production from India and marketing people from Europe and North America, because they're the best in marketing. Like how they have been marketing olive oil. And so we have extra virgin coconut oil, virgin coconut oil, regular coconut oil, cosmetic coconut oil, and so forth and so forth. Dearest, beloved, divine friends and family. So when they close down these sugar estates and they put people in a sense of depredation and suicidal tendencies, starvation, confusion, after it was announced suddenly one morning, the APNO AFC, particularly the conspiracies of Mr. Ramjatan with his partner Nagamutu, Moses Nagamutu, in league with the APNO or the PNC, because they wanted to break the back of the PPPC support group, failing to realize that they won the election by one seat through the AFC garnering some seats in the upper quarantine in the sugar belt. Failing to realize that, and that this will have a backlash. Without any kind of consideration to form even Mickey Mouse cooperatives, which could have an effect, or to give people land to become independent, or to teach them new skills, and to help them to grow cattle, or chicken, or whatever, and give them something above which they wanted to rob them of their severance. That had to be fought for and hard, but teach them how to invest this money instead of blowing it out. So the APNO AFC failed there, particularly the AFC. And why is it the President David Arthur Granger is not coming out against these people found buying all kinds of gold? And that is just a little dig in the basement, ladies and gentlemen. Because we know the corruption with all the construction and the roadworks and the gifts that were being given out to party boy to buy hair cutting equipment and fancy chair which was put in a bond and not used. Ladies and gentlemen, it's just the tip of the iceberg. The former President David Granger need to come out and save his legacy, because through the election and the engineering to overthrow the reality of the people's victory in the election, he has lost favour with Guyanese and the world. He needs to save it by coming out against his own now, today. Friends and families, brothers and sisters, in the raw, RK's Guyana Free Media. And I'm your host, Haji Dr. Roshan Khan. I have in front of me on my laptop, and I'm sorry I don't have a higher up, but I'll get this later on, possibly a table, so I could do better. But in the newspaper of, I'm not having the date here, let's see, Guyana Times, Thursday, January 21st, that's today. Yes, today. Thursday, January 21st, Agri-Minister, Indian High Commissioner discuss aquaculture development partnership for the sugar industry. Ladies and gentlemen, did they listen to me? Those of you who know me and who know that I've been writing and encouraging this even while the sugar industry was in its bloom, even after they were closing it down, and even after they closed it down, I was suggesting this. And it seems somebody listened. But you know what? I just be happy when people take my ideas or give me a credit. Or even if it was their original thing in policy, shelved somewhere, they can say that Haji Dr. Roshan Khan has been talking about this for a long time. Because we have the networks of canals. Amazing tilapia, freshwater, catfish, sweetwater catfish, basher and koffum can grow in the brackish and in the sweet waters, friends and families. And put up an international quality processing plant to export. Alive fish are exported alive nowadays and completely processed. Now, to the article. Agri-Minister, Indian High Commissioner discuss aquaculture development partnership for sugar industry. Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa, and Indian High Commissioner to Guyana, Dr. K.J. Srinivasa, have discussed areas for collaboration to develop the agriculture sector in keeping with government's plans to positively transform the sector. Brilliant, virtually the exact words, friends and family, that I've been using. There's a picture there in the newspaper of both of them having this discussion. There are a lot of people in the diaspora who have expressed interest in coming to invest in aquaculture. We are currently looking at lands and other things to be able to properly develop the master plan. He requested the assistance of the High Commissioner to have specialists in agriculture development come to Guyana to work with officials in the sector to build capacity and give technical support, a release from the ministry stated. During the meeting, Mustafa stated that the Guyana Sugar Corporation is currently executing critical rehabilitation works to its operating estates. What we are doing right now is looking at critical works that we have to do in these operating estates. What we are doing right now is looking at critical works. A lot of funds will be expended to ensure that we bring the estates to a standard where they can operate better than they are now. And remember, no attention was being paid on the ones that were being used, so the standards and the equipment were dying. And you just heard them crying out, money, 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 but they had money for all kinds of frivolities, including taxpayers' money, to pay expensive lawyers so they can perpetuate themselves ridiculously in power forever and ever. During the out-of-crop season, there are lots of works being done in the factories. The boilers are being looked at, the chains are being looked at. We are also looking to put in a new punt dump, beg your pardon, remember this is in the raw, at Albion, among other things, so that we can have more efficiency, he's quoted as saying. Facilities request. While responding to this request, High Commissioner Srinivasa said steps have already been taken to facilitate the request. But I was thinking, India being an ancient sugar industry, the original, and sugar cane was originally found in India and then spread to the world. And when the British and the Europeans tasted sugar, they went mad. They went berserk. And they had to conquer nations to control their wealth and their sugar and their people to fatten themselves. Of course, in time, they regretted they have not returned most of the thefts of historical items and our Kohinoor diamond and other things from India and some other countries. Some other countries are getting some. But the fact remains, they learned about sugar and tea, which is famous in England and Europe. And India was the giant for that, and then seconded by China, another great country of history. So I'm saying also, why not in the aquaculture partner with India? And we have seen in Vietnam and Thailand how in the rice farms they are growing fish, compatible fish, in the rice farms. So they get a constant flow of fish eggs, and also rice. And the waste of the fish becomes protein and humus that enriches the water for the growth of the rice. That's another thing we have to look at. But right now, concentrate on this, friends and families. They need to fix in also when they're doing the coconut oils, fixing something there to help to manufacture our own soaps. Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham, even during his age of dictatorship and mind control, and his fearsome, horrific external trade bureau, the fact remains he did try to manufacture soap, but the soap used to itch our skin, and that was being done at Versailles estate. But he tried. But now, with modern technology and our coconut oil, we could do wonders. Back to the article. Friends and families, the request is already in advanced stage of decision making. Because of this COVID situation, we have had some setbacks. His Excellency Srinivasa has said. And going on, everybody is working in silos. Once the pandemic has somewhat stabilized, we will be able to advance with these plans and keenly following up with it. The High Commissioner is quoted as saying, and we must always be grateful to His Excellency the Indian High Commission and all the other High Commissioners of Excellence and the Government of India for never abandoning us like other peoples of their country's diaspora who just left them on their own. But our India, even before its own independence, were representing us, looking out for us. And to this date, they are at great expense, providing tremendous, the government of India, I like to say Hindustan. My understanding is that the British had changed the name because Hindustan connotes a blessing and a power. And in Hindustan, all religions were working together in harmony for the greatness and the glory of India. But they had to divide and rule and created this evil system of division of our ancestors' land. We have got to come back. So we thank the government of India, the brilliant His Excellency Srinivasa, Venkatachalam Mahalingam, the former High Commissioner who has created history. And before that, another one that did history was Dr. Joshi, and so forth. We have had some amazing Indian High Commission. Thank you, Indian High Commissioner Srinivasa, and thank you, Prime Minister Modi and the government of India. Everybody is working in silos. The High Commissioner is quoted as saying, the minister also updated the High Commissioner on the expressions of interest by the Indian companies looking to partner with Guyana to revitalize the sugar industry. I was saying the same thing. When you want to look after sugar, you cannot go to any other country, and a big mistake was made was to buy a factory from another country. They should have bought it from India. But the mistake is learned and it's being changed, and I think I encourage the government of India, through the High Commissioner and the Guyana government, to keep encouraging them, to invite them to become a partner to make sugar successful, powerful, and most viable. We are working on the reopening as it stands now in a phased stage, with Rose Hall being first. That's a big one. That completely wiped out the mentality and the beauty of positivity of the people in that quarantine area in Rose Hall, ladies and gentlemen. Completely destroyed them and brought depression into them. There has been a lot of expressions of interest, EOI in Skeldon. We are looking at all the expressions and we will make a decision shortly. We will have interviews and things like that. We are going all out to reopen Rose Hall so that by the first crop of 2022, hopefully we can produce sugar. I salute you, Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Zulfikar Mustafa. Thank you for your brilliance and your vision. We will also be ensuring that we concentrate on the 3 operating estates to bring them back on par and back to capacity. Mustafa said, exactly as I was saying a bit earlier, it was kind of an abundant, so that if they had won this election, they would have destroyed the PPP supporting areas, so to say, according to what I'm seeing as a commentator, and even the junior analyst, that their aim was to do that, to destroy the quarantine and to break the backs of the people who are maximum of the population in the quarantine, upper quarantine area, even though many areas are beautifully mixed areas. He further noted that the revitalization of the Skeldon estate would most likely be done through the public-private partnership investment with companies overseas. He added that the Gaisuko board is currently developing a business plan that would soon be presented to him. President Dr. Irfan Ali, the mighty, the great, the power, the humanist. Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagdeo, the champion of the earth, the power, the visionary. And the minister within the Ministry of Finance, responsibility, the man of brilliance in finance and general understanding of global financial networks, Dr. Ashni Singh. Friends and families, a beautiful article, a beautiful message. Your friend, your brother, me, Haji, Dr. Roshan Khan, in the raw, saying thank you for tuning in into this RK's Guyana Free Media, and I'm your host, saying salam, namaste, shalom, and farewell.